I can understand English, but I can't speak it. I can text you in Spanish, but I can't make a voice note. How can we understand the language and not be able to speak it? This phenomenon, it's called passive multilingualism or receptive multilingualism. So what happens in our brain? Receptive multilingualism happens because there is a radical difference between the cognitive effort that is needed to speak the language and to comprehend the language. And different parts of brain are involved in the process of understanding the language and speaking the language. Wernicke's area is in the temporal part of our head and brain, and it helps us comprehend the language. And Broca's area of brain is somewhere behind our frontal lobe, and it helps us speak the language. Receptive skills like listening and understanding the language are much easier to develop because they require less brain activity and effort. So what brain does first is makes a distinction between phonemes and then morphemes and then sentences and phrases, and then the rest is basically worked out by brain's ability to understand, connect what the other person wanted to say. That can look like this. So imagine living in a Spanish-speaking country, but you and your family only spoke English and you can only speak in English. If somebody says, "Este vestido es muy lindo," your brain will pick up vestido es lindo. That means this dress is beautiful. And that's the general meaning of the sentence, because these words basically carry the general meaning of the sentence. And due to the fact that this person lives in the Spanish-speaking country, they must have heard these very commonly used words before and made the general meaning and understood the sentence. I'll make an example of myself. I can speak Italian, and because I understand and speak Italian, I am very able to understand the general meaning of conversations in Portuguese or French or even Romanian, because they belong to the same family of languages, which is Romance languages, and they are very similar, lexically and grammatically. However, when I try to speak in these languages, I just cannot hold a conversation. I can say a few sentences, few words here and there, and that is where it ends. So, needless to say, in order to come from the point of understanding the language or partially understanding the language to actually being able to proficiently speak it and hold a conversation in it, we need to move by practice. So we have to actively learn the language and train our muscle that is in our head, and it's called brain. So we have to basically treat our brain just like we treat the muscles when we go to the gym. Learning a language is all that is. And that requires consistency in learning. Consistency is much more important than actually intensively everyday learning a language. So being receptively multilingual is a very good starting point where you can jump and set off to an adventure of learning a new language that you're already familiar with.